Good morning and welcome to Hidden Gems. My name is Arden Thomas. I'm the Cincom Smalltalk product manager. Hidden Gems is where we try to show you capabilities of the product that you may or may not be aware of, and we think you should. If you have any questions, suggestions, feedback, please reach me at athomas@cincom.com. So in the past, we've done some examples with our domain master framework, with parsing, getting some stock market data and presenting that in some examples. We're going to show you some new capabilities with one of the interfaces that we're using, the IEX Web API. They've done a number of enhancements. We're going to show you what some of those enhancements are and how to create objects. And we'll go forward with that. In the past, we've done things like this to get that information. We've gotten that information, and here's, for example, 1 month of stock data for Caterpillar, Boeing, Apple, American Express, Dow DuPont. So these are all companies in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Okay, so where are we getting that data from? Well, if you go to this website, IEXTrading.com, and this is the API documentation. So we're getting 1 month. And the interesting thing here is you can simply run this and see what it's giving you. It's basically giving you JSON data that we parse and pull apart and create objects from this API. There's been a lot of enhancements recently to this API. For example, getting earnings. So you can get, and it shows you an example right here, the JSON data that is retrieved, all this information right here. So what if we want to get that information? How might that look, and what can we do with that? So here's one of the basic pieces of this API, data for a URL. So we pass in a URL. We've talked in the past how to set your security suites. If the target uses a certain set of encryption and you want to narrow to that, create a client, an HTTP client request, get that. Here's how we've also discussed how to add a certificate if it's not already there. So this basically gets done once the first time through. We get the data, which is in JSON format, and we parse that. In the past, we've showed you how to create your own JSON parser, and here we use the Xstream's JSON parser built in to the product. So after getting that, after having that available, we can, for example, get the data for this. Let's take a walk through this quickly. I'm going to debug this. So the prefix looks like this, and this is in the documentation. This is the prefix for each URL, stock, symbol, and get 1 month worth of data. So we will execute that, get the results, and here's what the results looks like. It's the dictionaries that we've created from the JSON data, and it has the date, open, high, low, close, volume information. And we're creating a daily datum from each one of those, and then a series. Now the advantage of creating this like this, let's take a look at this, is then we can say to this, say, give me my closes, and it will create another series of just the closes for that. There's the date times and the data for the closes. So that's one example. We noted the other thing is earnings is one of the new features. So what might that look like? We can get the earnings data for something by passing this in, data for URL, and we have that with /earnings at the end, and it looks like this. We get the data back and parse the JSON. But what if we want to create objects? Well, we can basically create an IEX earnings model object and pass the data that we've retrieved and the symbol and create an earnings model object. And we'll take a look at that. And in this case here, I've created IEX earnings statements from each one of these. Let's go into one of those statements. If this is stable, we'll probably create an instance variable for each one of these. If it's in flux or we want to get just access to the data quickly, we can just pop the dictionary right in there and write accessors for it as a quick, easy way to get that up and running. Just like earnings, there's financials, and that does a similar thing, creates a financials model. There's also IEX symbols. Here's what the URL looks like. That will show you all the symbols that are available here. And let's take a look at how many are there, for example. There's quite a few. See, 8,636 symbols that are supported by IEX. But I think the most interesting part is, what if we don't want to get data for one thing at a time? We want to get a batch. We want to get earnings for not one company, but 100. So here I have for 5 different companies: Micron, IBM, Lam Research, AT&T, and Tesla. And basically there's this syntax, which is in the documentation, that will batch that. And let's take a look at the results. So instead of getting it for one company, you can get 100 companies worth of data, and it takes roughly the same time to retrieve that data, so it's much more effective and efficient if that's what you need. So we have, and that's the batch earnings data for. Of course, we want to put that in objects. Well, let's get it for all the stocks in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. You see it's very quick, and we created a model for each one of those. And that's the new enhancements to the IEX API, and it's very straightforward and simple to create that interface, create objects, and get up and running very quickly for your applications with the capabilities in Cincom Smalltalk. And this will work for VisualWorks or Object Studio. The example here is in VisualWorks. Any questions? Please reach me at athomas@cincom.com. And again, there is a whole interesting history of this and a whole book written on that if you're interested in the rise of high-frequency trading and what that looks like, and the issues and concerns. You can check out Michael Lewis's book, Flash Boys. Until next time, have a great time with Smalltalk. Thank you.